Welcome in, SLA Episode 3, Suite Level Access. We are not canceled just yet. It's been a good run. 3 episodes in now, just fresh off the plane from Chicago. We're going to do a little docu-series on that trip. We'll have that out to you guys probably in the next week or so. Kind of give you a sense for what we did out there, meeting with Mike Ditka, going over the uniform unveil and all that good stuff. You know what? Before we get into what you guys did this weekend, I kind of goofed up. I got to introduce you. I am Mitch Mortaza. You are Mr. Alex Saxon.
What's going on, everyone?
And then next to Alex, we have Alex Montone.
Hello.
What have you guys been up to? I mean, I was bored this morning, so I started creeping a little bit on the old Instagram stories. Noticed you were out on a dinghy and no invite in Newport Beach. You know I love that shit.
Yeah, we got a little Duffy. And,
Duffy.
Yeah, I guess they called it Duffy.
It's a little bigger than a dinghy,
yeah,
right?
It only goes like 5 miles per hour, but it was fun.
Yeah.
I turned into a captain yesterday.
Yeah, no, those things are fun. You just go all around the harbor and out with the missus.
Out with the missus and the friends, celebrated a birthday. It was a good time.
Nice. And Montone, you know, you're a great follow on Instagram because all you have some like shady business in San Diego where you're just photographing beautiful wind by the pool all day.
Yeah, my life sucks. I don't know what else to say.
You guys are company men. You're wearing the logos. I'm a little off the beat. I'm gonna go straight to golf after this, so getting dressed for it. I have one of my good friends that I started the old LFL with, who is the director of sports medicine, will be on. We have a fully loaded show. His name is Danny Bonilla, so he's going to talk about how to get over COVID. You know, we all talk about the COVID weight. We talked about it a couple shows ago. He's going to touch on that, really walk some of the athletes through some of the preparation. We've got CJ Dunning, huge fan favorite, obviously. So she's going to be on. We're going to talk to her about what's going on in Denver. There's some movement within the coaching ranks. That'll be addressed here in the next couple weeks. And then you got Brittany Baker. Brittany, as you guys know, was part of the big uniform unveil. So I think it was important to get her on.
That girl has been in the gym.
Yeah, she's ripped.
She looks dangerous.
She's
going to
ripped.
be dangerous.
Wow, standing next to her. Holy smokes.
I felt really small.
Yeah,
she's pretty
same.
big.
You are.
So she's going to talk about the big uniform unveil and what it feels like so all the athletes around the league can get an idea for it. So that's it. I mean, we got a big show, so let's get going. First and foremost, I kind of teased this maybe a show ago or so, but we've already made some really good headway in terms of TV partners. I want to announce it because we literally signed the contract 2 days ago, but technically the press release is not signed off on. So when we come back in September, we'll announce it before that, but when we talk in the September show again about this, the biggest brand, I would say, within media is now become a huge TV partner of ours. So they're going to really help us both domestically and internationally get us out there. So that's our biggest task this offseason is, hey, man, we got to tell the story of who these athletes are, right? Previous, when I ran the LFL, you know, it was certainly about the athletes, but you could make an argument it wasn't really about the sports side of it. It wasn't the athletics of it. We are making a conscious effort with the X League to make sure that it's the complete opposite of that. Because I think, you know, you miss the boat when you don't tell the compelling lives of these girls and what they go through in their preparation. Most people don't know. I mean, we have a full off season. It's even more extended this year, obviously, because of COVID. But, you know, these girls will have in future seasons, just like the NFL guys, an OTA. They're going to have a mini camp. They're going to have a training camp before they ever set foot on an X League field. So they go through a lot of preparation. So a couple things happening. We're going to be signing on 2 production companies, not one, but 2. One is a multiple Academy Award-winning production house in the doc space, pure doc space. So they primarily work with Netflix. Okay? So when we press release this and you guys see the other series that they've put out there, it will blow your mind. So they're out of the UK. I don't want to give away too much, but I've been talking to them a lot. So early mornings for Mortaza. But they're excited about it. They were like, we wouldn't touch this unless you were going in the direction. So creatively, we are on the same page. But they want to tell about the evolution of my involvement with this from the early onset when I did the Super Bowl halftime special. Then when I launched the LFL and why the LFL closed down, but that whole journey to where we are with the X League. So I'm really excited about that. And then literally I'm coming out of those meetings and we were contacted by the second or third biggest production company on reality TV side. Okay, so they do a lot of network shows. They help launch, which is now one of the biggest sports out there. So they are, again, very excited creatively as the direction we're heading in. So it's going to be a lot of synergy. You're not going to have one series out there that's going to be completely off creatively. It's all going to be about passion, commitment, desire, both on the field and, the work we put in from a production staff. You were with us half of last year, so you got a taste for it. A lot goes on. There's a lot of drama behind the scenes, no question. A lot not wanted drama, but it exists.
It happens.
So, from a storytelling perspective, some really exciting developments. By the time we come back for the September show, we'll actually be able to talk about who they are, maybe get them on air, talk about what our goals are going to be with the docs, okay? What else do we have? Schedule release. October 5th, we literally are probably a day or two away from formulating the final schedule. Because of COVID, a lot of the 2020 events like concerts, Bieber, Disney on Ice, they are all now moving their dates to 2021. So it's becoming that much tougher, but we're thinking ahead. We've been ahead of it. Typically, we don't even work on the schedule till October. It gets released in December. Now it's going to be released in October. So October 5th is the schedule release. October 12th is when tickets go on sale nationally. So all fans need to know that October 12th is the date you circle. And then we've got another exciting development, quarterback camp. I always wanted to do this. We just didn't have the time for it. And ironically now we have the time, but we may not have the opportunity because of COVID. So tentatively right now, it'll be in October. We're inviting all of the starting quarterbacks from around the country to Los Angeles. And I'll be announcing a national director of quarterbacks that will work with the QBs year-round. We're going to probably announce that next week. So, we're going to have the starting quarterbacks out here and the backups for a full weekend, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and then do a bunch of follow-up Zooms with them to make sure they're developed. It's this, obviously it's the toughest position in football. And if you can master that, you can put a good product out on the field.
That's going to be exciting.
I've been getting texts from the Michelle Angels and the KK Matheny's and all of them that all want to be involved with it. Certainly the young bucks that we have, the Vanna Medranos, Lauren Crouch. There's so many great quarterbacks and so much potential. I mean, we have even some 17 and 18-year-olds, believe it or not, that are working out with teams right now. Literally, we have
That's awesome.
2 17-year-olds and 2 or 3 18-year-olds at the quarterback position.
Wow.
Gotta learn that playbook.
Yeah, right? Well, I mean, just the mechanics alone. I mean, this is a great opportunity for them for the next 6 months to just learn the position.
Really
forget about playing.
Too.
Yep. So that's happening. The uniform unveil, we're going to kind of do that during the Brittany Baker segment a little bit later. So I know Miss Alex Montone has developed a great little video from our Chicago trip. I believe you shot it, didn't you?
Yeah, I shot it.
You shot it. Yep.
We both pretty much shot it.
All right.
18,
well, it was a good job.
It's 18.
I'm making sure credit goes along where it needs to be.
Just
That's
say
all.
Alex did it, and you.
Alex did it. I'm in the clear.
Yeah, you're safe then.
So I mean, that's really I hit through a lot of that pretty quickly. The big news is the production companies that are going to be coming on board. We'll talk about that September. Ticket release October 12th. Okay, got it.
Got it.
All right, guys. So for the next segment, I'm gonna get you guys the hell out of those chairs, and I'm gonna bring in one of my good friends that I've kept in contact with. Like I said, he was part of our sports medicine team, headed alongside Jeremy Fisher back when we had the LFL back in, I want to ask him, but probably 09 to about 2012, something like that. And he's kept to the grind. He's really specialized in the sports medicine space. Just got a PhD in it.
Whoa.
So pretty high up there. So he's going to talk about how athletes and regular Joes like us can get through COVID. Okay, so when we come back, we're going to talk sports medicine. SLA, episode 3, still on air, bitches.
And to add with his lessons learned, one thing I've noticed too is I want to keep his energy levels high enough to where he can spend time with his family.
All right, welcome back, guys. Suite Level Access SLA. And yes, my 2 beautiful co-hosts are gone. But I think I think the studio got even better looking. I don't know. What's up, Danny?
Thank you, sir. Thank you. I appreciate that.
This is Danny Bonilla. Danny, as I mentioned, is a longtime associate through the old LFL.
Yeah.
We were just talking off camera, with us from the beginning, really.
Yeah.
09 to what, 2013?
2013, that's where I left to go to grad school. And only wanted to leave to go to grad school, but I would have kept going, man. It was awesome.
You know what?
a
The
good
athletes responded to you, man.
Yeah.
Obviously, this is your passion. As I mentioned, kind of setting up this segment, you got a PhD in this space, man. How tough is that? I mean, I didn't even finish college.
You know, my passion was education. So I realized the girls really learned through learning. So I got my PhD in education with an emphasis in, you know, what I do, which is sports medicine.
Okay.
And so that's where I'm at now. I'm on my own and have my own clientele. And, you know, I reached out to you and I said, you know what, this is a very important time to start talking to athletes, also non-athletes, to see what they're doing and see if we can give them a little bit of some advice.
Yeah, that's the thing, man. I've been in a rut since COVID started. You know, I mentioned prior, and I think I've talked to you off camera about it, that I did contract it back in March.
Yeah.
And after that, man, it was just a downward spiral of just not wanting to do anything. Because when you're out of the loop, as far as working out, eating poorly for 2, 3, 4 weeks, that stuff just snowballs.
Absolutely.
You know,
Absolutely.
and only more recently, I would say only in the last month and a half have I developed this amazing body. But
it looks pretty
prior
amazing
to that,
too. It looks pretty good.
prior to that, man, it was a train wreck, and I'm still working on it. But talk to us about, if you are the average Joe like myself, how do you pull yourself out of the rut that is COVID? Let's say you've been just eating poorly since April. You've cut out any workouts. How do you get back to it?
The number one thing that I feel is important to hit on is nutrition. And so I like to say I like to stay in my lane when it comes to nutrition because I'm not a dietitian. I'm not a certified nutritionist. But the basics are, you know, what minerals are we actually consuming that our body normally doesn't intake? What minerals are we lacking in our diet? Most people don't do their research on that. So 2 minerals that I wanted to really highlight for athletes are zinc and magnesium. And these are things most people don't really talk about, but we're not going to go too far into them. But zinc and magnesium is something I want athletes and the layperson to start to research. They're minerals that our body doesn't create, but we need for specific functions like, you know, decreasing stress. Cortisol is that stress hormone that you feel. So when you said you were down in the dumps, it might have been just a huge chronic stress experience that you had in your body. So cortisol, they call it the stress hormone. That's something that when we elevate, that's our fight or flight response. So if I scare you coming out of a corner, that's that response. It increases your heart rate. Zinc and magnesium help to decrease those responses. However, cortisol in a short-term period is okay. I mean, most athletes experience it. The layperson experiences it, you know, especially when you wake up in the morning. But prolonged stress.
Right.
This is why I wanted to make sure we talked is right now most kids, most adults, most people are not moving. They're stuck in their homes, and the way they'd interpret that and the way they define being stuck in a home is there's a lot of couch. There's couches everywhere. There's places to sit. So they define being in their home by lack of movement. Whereas I want to just redefine, you know, in this quick little episode that movement is what you do and it's who you are. Yeah. So it could be getting up, going to get a water, sitting back down, doing that twice in between commercials.
So that's a workout now.
That's a workout.
Awesome.
Absolutely.
I'm good.
Absolutely.
Cool. Going and getting a water.
Absolutely.
I love that.
Absolutely.
Low standards. I'm in.
Now, if you keep those throughout the day, I mean, it helps. But I believe the one thing that hinders our ability to get better, especially when we have those high levels of cortisol, high levels of stress, high levels of even anxiety, is we have to do some form of movement.
Right.
And people call it exercise. People call it fitness. Because I'm an educator first, I don't call it anything. I just say it's who you are. You have over 200 bones in your body. The foot alone has 28 bones. And I speak about the foot because everybody has it. When they get up, that's what they're using. So if you figure you have 28 bones, over 30 joints in there, what are you doing to actually benefit your body at this point? So just even standing instead of sitting, when you're watching TV, just stand. I know for a fact my family hates when I stand, but I tell them, I just don't like sitting. Right. There's too much furniture in our room. So standing and walking a little bit, doing
it's just motion, right?
Absolutely.
I've always heard that it's just motion.
Absolutely.
If you keep your body in motion, that's working to your benefit. Now, obviously this whole COVID thing, it's been a challenge for a lot of people. There's also naysayers out there saying it's not a real thing even to not be concerned about it, right? So there's that fine line. Like, do you go in public? I mean, you're saying just stay safe, do it at home. But there are a lot of things you could do at home, right?
Absolutely.
What are if you were to give me your top 3 exercises that anybody could do at home, what would they be?
Squat, push-ups, pull-ups, if you have a bar. If you don't, wall sit. And the reason why is it stimulates a really good cardiovascular response. So it makes you sweat without doing anything.
Yeah.
Now, if you have any knee problems, if you're a little bit overweight, if you have any joint issues, then it's going to be hard. If you can get on the ground, do a little bit of a sit-up or even like a plank is good. But again, we're getting into if we're talking about people that don't move, they're going to have some ailments. And this is the moment. So during COVID is the moment to work on those ailments, whether it's your diet, whether it's getting your shoulder to move because you have an injury. This is the time to do it. But it's all
mental, right?
Absolutely.
It's all mental, man. If you can get out of bed and you can get that workout, I always tell myself, when I've had that internal fight, is that, look, I always regret not working out. I've never regretted working out, so it's just like that kind of gets me out of bed in the morning now. I've been on a pretty good streak the last 6 weeks of just being active and doing things. And I'm a completely different person than I was during COVID, when we were kept in the house pretty much. So it's I think it's very important that people take notice. It's very easy to get in that rut and stay in that rut.
Absolutely.
But to your point, the smallest amount of movement
very small,
can change
very minimal.
your mindset,
Absolutely.
change your life, change your way. So it's just insane. Talk to us about sports medicine. What are you doing in it now specifically? I mean, do you have your own business now in it? Or?
With sports medicine, I'm a certified athletic trainer from the National Athletic Trainers Association. And so I've been that for over 10 years now. Absolutely love it. The way I describe it is, the people that help every single athlete or the layperson or in the military or any place right now that has athletes. I kind of define everybody being an athlete, but we're now invested in those facilities. So not a strength coach, not a fitness professional, again, not a nutritionist, but an athletic trainer. We deal mainly with preventative injuries, and we help athletes get back and stronger. We do help other people, other people that don't move, but my business right now, because I have my PhD, I'm very new, I'm very young, I'm a novice. My PhD was more in self-care and being mindful as a nursing professional. So the way I tied that into it is, to me, nurses are athletes. They're running down a hall, they're getting a code, they're doing all these different things, but in their profession...
We have several nurses in the league, actually.
There you go, absolutely, I remember them. And one of the things that they have to have is accuracy and precision. And in a fast-paced environment, how do you actually slow your mind down? Right. So I studied self-reflection in nurses. So with that, I wanted to actually take what I studied in my grad school. It took me 6 years. So it was a lot of just working and grinding. Halfway into that, I developed a small clientele, mainly kids that were going from high school to college.
And you're working in LA now. Where are you?
I'm working actually in
If I were to
Redlands,
take
California.
classes with you, where is that where I would come to?
So Redlands, California, more San Bernardino County.
Okay.
I'm able to travel anywhere I want, though I'm kind of on my own.
Cool.
I've actually traveled to LA to see clients as well. It's an assortment of people, but right now there's some people that are immune compromised, so I can't see everybody. If I do have some clientele, we're outside. I have to still practice the CDC guidelines. We mainly practice social distancing, and I don't actually see new clients right now unless, we have that rapport going.
Right.
But yeah, I've been having my business now for about 4 years.
Yeah.
And on my own for about a year. And I love it. I get to do things like this.
I thought it was important. When you reached out, I was like, you know what? That's a pretty good idea to get you on air and talk to these people, because we're just talking football here, talking about drinking and wings and Mike Ditka. I thought we'd kind of try to balance that out with a little intelligent talk about getting healthy again. So,
and you mentioned alcohol, and it's definitely nothing to slow down during this time. So I realize a lot of people use alcohol as a form of coping. Yeah. But that's one thing to hit on is alcohol, high levels of stress and caffeine. are just the thing that, if we want to combat COVID, we have to limit those things right now. And unfortunately, I'm seeing a lot of that, especially in the young
alcoholism
kids.
is at it's supposed to be at its height right now during COVID.
Yeah, absolutely.
Domestic abuse, everything's just not in a good place right now. But listen, I appreciate you coming on the show. I think it's really important for everybody to hear this firsthand from you, the only 17-year-old PhD that I know of, right? That's pretty.
I mean, I look 17, but I just turned 35. I got my first gray hair.
Danny, we're gonna get you involved somehow with the X League in some capacity because, like I said, our athletes are pretty sophisticated now.
Yeah,
I think they need that guidance. We've got Jeremy Fisher, who is our long-term, who worked alongside you with the LFL. Now I've brought him over to the X League, so he'll be part of the program. We're really going to build out our sports medicine. We already have some amazing groups like we did back with the LFL across the country. A lot of NFL medical groups, NBA groups are with us. Sports medicine is something very important. It's at the heart of what we do. So we'll, I'm sure, have you back on to comment on certain injuries, prevention.
Definitely.
We got 6 months to fill, Danny Bonilla.
I mean, I could go through every single body part, and we'll
every
we'll
week you come in. Next week we're talking about ankles.
There we go.
Done.
There we go. Boom.
All right, guys. Thanks, Danny, for coming on.
Thank you for
next,
having me.
we've got CJ Dunning of the Denver Rush. We're going to talk to her about how she's preparing for 2021. And Mr. Danny, you hang tight. We'll probably get you in that interview and talk to CJ about. She's one of the toughest girls I've been around, man. Works out, is involved in multiple sports. So I think it'd be cool to kind of talk to her and get you in on that interview as well. All right, we'll be back. CJ Dunning, Denver Rush, Suite Level Access. Welcome back to Suite Level Access SLA. Very informative segment coming off with Mr. Daniel Bonilla. Half the stuff I had no idea what he's talking about, but I'm going to look it all up. It's the power of, as my brother-in-law would say, the Googles.
The Googles.
Yeah. 28 bones in the foot. That's
28 bones in the foot. You remember that?
Yeah.
All right. It's like Pavlov's dog, man. I went to college for 6 years, okay? And the only thing I remember, I don't think it was long division because I think that's elementary school, right?
Yeah.
That's not college.
No.
Yeah, it's Pavlov's theory of Pavlov's dog's theory, right? The salivation thing. That's the only thing I remember. Anyway, we're getting a little sidetracked.
College.
I thought there was more to that. I was okay.
We got one of the most popular people in the league waiting for this interview, and I'm talking about Pavlov's dogs. You're talking about ankles. What's wrong with you? CJ Dunning of the Denver Rush. Welcome to Suite Level Access.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me.
You look amazing. As I was saying, I love the chair. It looks like you're in a dentist's office, though, because there's nothing behind you.
Something like that.
You're like me. All my frames in my house are empty. I don't know a single soul. I'm going to share a story about that in a future show, by the way. All right. CJ, we're all dealing with COVID-19. In fact, we just talked about it. How's it impacted you, both personally and professionally? Just to get up on a really uplifting note, just to kind of start very positively.
Right there. Yeah, it's been monumental for me. And my self-development, it kind of forces you to sink into yourself and really figure out what it is that you want to do with life. And so everything's changed for me. I had to shut the doors on my business. I compete in the WBFF and went pro. And that was hard during COVID. I had to break into gyms and couldn't find food. And it was crazy, but it kind of made it that much more meaningful, I guess. So
wait, couldn't find food. Did you move to a different country or something? What happened?
No, just the food shortages here, like with the water and stuff like that. And so it was challenging, but it's a good time to prove things to yourself. So if you can do it during this time, then you can do it outside of it.
Yeah, I always tell everybody that I think we're going to be long remembered. This is going to turn into our Pearl Harbor. I lived through. You guys aren't that younger than me. You guys were here for September 11th. That was the one that I thought we'd all be remembered for. That would be our Pearl Harbor. This is going to dwarf that in terms of the impact because it's worldwide. Everybody that lived through this era will remember COVID-19. It's crazy. So let's talk about, I don't know who wrote these questions, by the way. It must have been a first-year producer, right?
You did.
Oh, I wrote them?
Yeah.
Okay. Because we went right to COVID to this question, okay? Brace yourself. Obviously, we ask fans to write in what they want to know about the guests and me and everybody, okay? The number one question that came up for CJ Dunning was, is she single?
Hell yes, I'm single.
There you go. Good enough. We'll move on.
And that was quick.
Off-season workouts, okay? Kind of parlaying off what you've been doing already because you're very active. You shoot weapons too, right? Her and Cheyenne Verdorn is the other one that's really active marksman and a hunter. You know, what kind of weapons do you shoot?
I've got a couple 9s. I have a 380, and I have a 22 AR.
And you're single. Why? I'm just kidding.
No, you know, it's Second Amendment is something I definitely believe in. So you got to be ready, especially times like now. And you know, I live in an area where, in a downtown area where I got to protect myself if I'm living alone. So
I hated guns up to about a year ago. My brother-in-law talked me into it, and I went. And there was a wait prior to COVID. This was literally 3 days before the shutdown, and I just was able to get mine about a month ago. So it's just, I mean, the demand on it right now is at its height of ever because you don't know what's going to happen with the election around the corner and everything that's going on.
Wait, CJ, didn't you have a stalker at one point?
yes. Oh my
And that's where she got the third gun.
I actually had recently gone through a breakup, and someone was leaving me notes like on my car, at my door, like I'm talking like stuffed animals, flowers. And I like never really found out who it was, but I was joking about it, and I named him Chad. But like it wasn't the guy I had recently dated at the time, but I still don't know who it was.
You still have no idea?
No. I keep thinking another reason why I have a gun. I'm like, come in here, and he's gonna be like, hello, Clarice.
Getting back to football, you guys are going to have a transition at the head coach space. In fact, we're interviewing as we speak. Unfortunately, the gentleman that we were going to go into the season with, Matt Mellon, has gotten issues personally that's going to take him away from Denver. So, you know, I just got wind of that about a week ago or so. He's he would have been a phenomenal coach, and I think he's going to stay connected maybe with the Chicago team because he's originally from Chicago, as I understand it, so he's going to go back there. So outside of that, I mean, you guys have been one of the more active teams, I think, this offseason as far as preparation, training, whether it's individuals or I see, you know, you guys run a lot of passing tree with Vanna Medrano. First off, how's Vanna coming along? Because obviously she's a first-year quarterback. You know, is she learning the system? More importantly, is she learning the position well?
You know, she's been very assertive in conducting practices, the ones that I've been to, you know. She's at the start or the beginning of kind of when we ended season or learned that we weren't going to have a season. You know, she's really taken charge, and I think she's doing a great job. I'm excited to play with her, and she's definitely doing the extra stuff outside of it. So, I really like her.
And you guys have another person that's pretty committed. It's probably, I probably shouldn't say this. I'm going to get myself in trouble here.
Here we go.
I think she may be the oldest player in the league. Carol, you're going to butcher. What's the last name? She's going to butcher. I'm going to get in trouble here. So now I'm calling her the oldest player in the league, and I can't pronounce her last name.
Wow.
We're going to need to edit this whole segment out, Montone.
I got you.
She's got to be, I mean, she's impressive. She's out there. She's cranking as a single mom. You know, so, I mean, talk to us about the dynamics of this team. I know you got a couple young bucks that you guys are developing. What is the Denver Rush going to look like going into 2021?
It's going to be interesting. We definitely need to be recruiting. Carol is one of my closest friends, actually, too. She's a phenomenal person.
I could have just said Carol, damn it.
I was going to say, do you know her last name?
No, I really can't. But she is someone who she doesn't let anything get in her way. She's a bad bitch. That's what she is. I mean, she puts in the time. She's been through a lot. You know, if you have a chance to hear a story about, you know, her coming to the U.S. with nothing, and now she kills it. So she's definitely an inspiration to me.
I wanted to also ask you, I guess, 2021, what that's going to look like for you personally and professionally. You know, we're hoping a vaccine surfaces here sometime early 2021 is what I'm hearing. Let's say there is a vaccine in place. What does your 2021 look like? I'm
a little scared of the vaccine, to be honest. They're already kind of mandating I just heard, I think it's in California, if you don't, or you have to have it to go back to school. I personally will not by choice do it. But you know, that's kind of, I guess it's a controversial topic right now, but it's going to affect everybody. I mean, this is crazy. Like, this is our new normal, I think, for a long time. And there's things that I'm trying to just get used to. And I think at the beginning of this, when it hit, we all kind of thought, oh, this is just temporary. Everything will be back to normal, but it's not. And there's so much damage to the economy now that I don't know. And for me, again, you know, I have to shut down a business because of it. And so it's scary. But now it's not, you don't have to recession-proof your life. You have to COVID-proof your life too. So getting involved in industries. So, I've been doing a lot of like online training and nutrition packets because you can do that from home. And that's hit decently well already. So definitely planning for the worst so that the outcome is better.
My personal belief, for what it's worth, and I don't want to get sued this early in the year, is simple that, like I said, I've had some limited experience with it. I contracted it in early October, early March when I was returning from the training camp tour. I think I met with you guys on that tour as well. So I kind of got a chance to go through it. I think most of us at some point will have it, and it'll be herd immunity. And for me, I was pretty simple, as I've shared on the show before. Really light symptoms, nothing dramatic. My taste buds didn't go away. So it's different degrees, obviously. So I think, you have to assess, like anything else, it's personal responsibility. Who do you have at home that if they contract this, it could be deadly? So you assess that accordingly. For me, I don't. So to shut down all business and basically shut down our way of life, I think that's very tough. I was all for being careful early on, but to just prolong this till we get a vaccine, it's like you said, it's devastating. Suicides, alcoholism, everything that's happening. So it's a tough period for sure. Bless you, Montone.
First sneeze. First sneeze.
No mask either. Awesome.
Perfect. And cut.
Could you imagine a better setup to end the COVID discussion?
And yeah, all right.
That was not set up. Montone
I tried
is
so hard to hold it.
that was legitimate.
Oh,
All right. Well, listen, we've learned a lot from this interview, CJ. We learned first and foremost, you have a stalker, possibly. You're single and you're heavily loaded with guns. Well, listen, I appreciate you taking the time. We want to get you on the show because you're certainly one of the more popular players in the league. Fans want to hear from you. Please keep in touch with us in terms of your development. I just appreciate you taking the time.
Oh, thank you. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, CJ. That is CJ Dunning of your Denver Rush. And when we come back, we've got another young budding star in the league. That is Brittany Baker, who we met with in Chicago. Now, she was the one that wore the first ever X-League uniform. So she's going to be able to talk about what that feels like on. I'm sure a lot of athletes want to know, the fans want to know, et cetera. And we're going to unveil the video that you cut as well with Brittany Baker. A lot of stuff to look forward to. That was a scary interview with CJ Dunning. It was everything I expected. That's a tough chick.
Very scary.
All right, we'll be back. Sweet level access. Welcome back to SLA. It's been a long show. This is our first 4-segment show. I'm proud of ourselves, man.
I'm liking this.
And we did it without sunshine.
I was just going to say, our floor
sunshine.
manager.
It's probably going to be all fucked up. No, I'm just kidding.
There's no sunshine in this show at all. It's just pure darkness. We're talking about guns and
Pure clouds,
and freaking
Diseases.
diseases. That could be absolutely. Getting back to our athlete, we've got Brittany Baker of the Chicago Blitz that we're going to welcome in a second. She's one that, we had the fortunate ability to meet with in Chicago when we went out on a little field trip, and she tried the uniform on. So this will be the first thing that we hear from an athlete. As I said, a lot of athletes, a lot of coaches want to know what this looks and feels like. Certainly our athletes do. And she'll be able to kind of talk to about that. And I want to get to know her as well. We didn't get a chance to really sit down and talk to her in depth. And there's a lot of great new faces in this league that are making an impact from a fan standpoint that are being asked about. So certainly Brittany Baker is one of them. Let's bring her in. Miss Brittany Baker, welcome to SLA.
Hello, thank you.
Now you've got a dog in the background. That's a pit, right?
Yes, she's an adopted Staffy. She's a little blue-nosed pitty.
The first animal on the show.
Is it really?
First animal.
Well, you're technically the first. Well, listen, appreciate you being on the show. We just had CJ Dunning of the Denver Rush, and we asked her about COVID. I think it's cool that we get a sense for how everybody's dealt with COVID, both personally and professionally. How's it impacted you?
Man, I honestly thought it was going to impact me a lot differently. I work retail management, so originally I thought we were going to be super dead and I was going to be slow and maybe even cut hours way back, but my hours went double, just with online sales and all of that. So that was actually difficult to transition to. And then on a personal level, just like having all the gyms shut down, like that was awful because like outside of practice, like I would work out every day. So that was like my out. So on like one side it was awful, but on the flip side, like being so busy with work kind of like balanced it out because I see people that are still like not even back at work and I don't even know what I would do with myself if that was me.
Yeah, it's pretty insane. I think when I was hauled up in the house too, it was just tough to pass time. You know, before I thought it'd be a great thing because there was never enough hours in the day to accomplish what I want to accomplish. But then suddenly when I got those hours, I was like, not really liking this, right? You touched on something there, football practice, and certainly you're new to this game, as I understand. This is your first go-around with football, right?
That's correct.
But you did mention when we met in Chicago that you have brothers that have played the game.
All three of my brothers have actually played, so I know the game, but this will be my first time actually being on the field instead of being in the stands.
So what's been, like I just took up golf, and everything is challenging, including the wardrobe, by the way. I can't get anything to fit, man. What's the most challenging thing about football?
I think in the beginning, the most challenging thing was like the terminology, just because like being an athlete background in other sports, like I would have certain terminology and then it's like not quite used the same way as it would be in football. Other than that, everything's been actually pretty easy. I think being a multi-sport athlete just helped me with that because I could pick up things pretty easy or pretty quickly, and I'm just an overall athlete anyways. So being physical and being able to run plays isn't too far off from what I did before anyways.
Now, does anything scare you about the game that you maybe seen on film or you've had a chance to experience it firsthand? Although you guys haven't any contact yet, is there anything that concerns you about it?
Last off season, because I practiced with the squad in the beginning of last year's off season before we started this year and everything got shut down, I was actually really scared to get tackled for the first time. But then after that in a practice, I was like, oh, okay, that's not too bad. Like, let's go.
That's a thing. Honestly, that's a thing for everybody that's ever played the game. I don't know if you guys have played it as far as tackle football. I played it for multiple years, and guys will tell you this, that, you know, before you get that first hit, there's always those jitters, even if you played the sport for 10 years. After you realize you didn't die from the hit, you move on. The jitters go away. You end up playing football. So that's not unique to you. That's something you're going to have every year you play football in that first game is that first hit. So that's not that unique. Now, Chicago's an interesting scenario because you've got Sid Lewis as your head coach. You know, we had him on, I think, episode 2 or something on the show. And he's an interesting guy. You know, he took on, as I mentioned in that show, a daunting task with the former Chicago team that were involved with the LFL. You know, now we've brought him back with the X League, and, you know, he's had to reestablish his own culture there and bring in his type of athletes. So it seems like you guys, despite, you know, there was a lot of carryover from girls that played in the old LFL that are playing with the Blitz now. You know, it seemed like you guys, for a team that struggled, or a lot of those girls that were in that locker room, despite those struggles, you seem to have really come together. For example, when I visited during March for the training camp tour, that was a very cohesive group that was in that room. Is that still the case? Is it very much so a sisterhood, or do you guys all just hate each other?
No, I would say like we're pretty much a sisterhood. We have different group chats. We have like one big team group chat, and then we have like the O-line and the D-line. Once we got the clearance that we're able to like go to parks again, some of us would even meet up and like run plays and do what we could while we were still dealing with COVID. And we're actually gonna all meet up on Friday night for our first official off-season like get together. Which I'm super excited about. But even outside of like football, like everybody checks up on each other. We did a couple like fitness challenges like throughout each month, and I like that it's not just all football. Like they actually genuinely care. And we have a couple girls on the team that are also in the National Guard, and when everything was happening, like everybody was reaching out to them, making sure like you guys good? Like, are you safe? So it makes me feel even better to be a part of a team that doesn't just care about on the field, like they care about you in your family life as well.
Yeah, Chicago's going nuts right now. Just at the taping of the show, we're sitting at the day after all the riots in pretty prominent areas of downtown that I've frequented. We did on our trip there. How scary is it right now in Chicago? I mean, we all know about the shootings, but those tend to happen on the south side. You're getting some protests and you're getting crazy stuff happening now on the north side as well.
It's pretty unfortunate because I love my city and I always think like Chicago, no matter if I end up in Illinois forever, if I don't, like Chicago will always have a place in my heart. So it's sad to see that like we're doing this to our own city because it's just, there's so much history to it. And I just hope that we could all end that soon.
Yeah. I mean, it's tough to see because it's certainly my favorite city as well. I tried to actually move out there a time ago in Glencoe. Didn't work out, but we were there briefly. You saw how fun it was, and we were kind of working, but when you kind of let it loose and you're there in the summer months and the food, the people, the camaraderie, Lakeshore Drive, there's so much to that city. And like Brittany says, there's a lot of history to it. And these people are just, I don't understand the motivation. It's very frustrating, and I'm sure it is for you guys being in your backyard there. Let's kind of go up a little bit. See, we're going into the gray again because Sunshine's not here.
It's a sad episode. It's a very sad episode.
I want sad music plugged into every segment.
Gotcha.
Yeah, Sunshine. We definitely don't have. It's a lot of gray.
He is a ray of sun.
Let's talk about something that a lot of people are curious about around the league. We talked about it briefly on the show to this point, and that's the uniform. We had an opportunity to invite one player to try on the uniform, and we wanted somebody new that had no prior experience with any other football uniform per se. You tried on this new uniform. What were your initial thoughts on it?
First of all, thank you so much for giving me that opportunity. Like, that's so exciting for me. And secondly, like, I think the material is going to be really good for game day situations. I like that it's not like stuck on you, it's breathable. It's stretchy. The shorts are more like compression shorts, which I think are easier to move around in.
Yeah, it's a slick look. I mean, from the video here, you could see, I mean, obviously it's just like we had in the graphics design. But, when you see it on a graphic, it's not quite the same thing until it comes to life. Yep. And that's why we thought it was really important to get it on a player, get the player's feedback. Obviously, when we announced this uniform, I think overall, the athletes across the X League were very ecstatic, at least the ones that contacted me were. But this goes to a different level. To put it on an athlete, get your feedback on it. I think the confidence level when you wear this jersey is incredible, because it's the shoulder pads are full set of shoulder pads. You've got full jersey. As you said, the shorts are more like a boy short now. They're compression fabric, so easier to move in. You can sweat in them. So it's going to be a very athletic-facing uniform. And, you got a chance to try it on. It's history, Brittany Baker. Right? You will be the first ever, no matter how long this league goes on.
The first to wear the progressive X League uni.
Yeah. There you go.
And she wore it well.
It looked great.
Looked like you've been playing for years in that thing. You looked really comfortable and ready to kick its ass.
It completely felt comfortable. And as soon as I put on the jersey or the uniform, I looked in the mirror. I was like, yes.
Yeah,
let's go.
That is awesome.
Well, talk it up around the league. Let them know what you thought. Certainly when the show comes out, people will see it for the first time on an X League athlete. And we appreciate you taking the time. I know there's a lot going on in everybody's lives nowadays with COVID and everything else. We appreciate you taking a few minutes, sharing it with us, and we want to get you guys in front of the fans, especially the newer players. They want to get to know who Brittany Baker is, and hopefully this is just the beginning for you here at the X League.
I hope so.
Thank you, Brittany. Appreciate you being on. That is Miss Brittany Baker of your Chicago Blitz. I don't know exactly. I meant to ask where they're going to plan to use her. I think she's a linebacker type, maybe DN type.
I think she said D end.
DN, yeah.
I think it's funny that she was worried about the first tackle. I think girls are going to be worried. They get
more scared of it.
Yeah. I think she's lost sight of what she looks like physically. I think it's going to be the opposite.
She's going to dominate for sure.
But I get it. Like that is a real, very real fear of every football player, especially an offensive player, is that first hit of the season.
I got clotheslined once because I didn't tuck down low. I was just running up high like an idiot and fucking right out.
It'll wreck you.
I'm so close on the field too that I've had a couple close calls.
How have you not been hit, honestly?
Yeah, and you said, well, it's going to happen this year.
And what I always say, I say put the camera over the board because the camera's way more valuable than you are.
Okay, appreciate that.
No, it's shocking that you've not been hit down there. I'm sure that'll change here very soon.
We got to get you a cup or something just in case.
Now I just totally jinxed it. First game.
100%. Well, I'm excited for the September show when we reconvene. Like I said, we're going to talk about the production companies that we've partnered with, which are the true storytellers of what this brand is going to be. We're going to work with them very closely because they're going to want to pick your brain as to what this is, share content. So that's a whole other set of discussions. So a lot to look forward to. We'll keep announcing partners. We'll get new players on in September. That'll be 2 days before I head to Europe. I didn't even touch on that we're planting the seeds for Europe and trying to launch a UK league.
Wow.
Right.
So there's some interest around that. We're trying to play a couple games before the NFL games next fall that are played in London. So those games are on Sundays. We're going to try to play Saturday nights. So a lot's happening behind the scenes. We'll keep you updated via this show. A lot of the news stories that we don't release on the traditional platforms will be saved for right here. For very selfish reasons.
I'm learning so much. This is how I learn about things. I don't get an email. I hear about it.
And I love it. I'm not even dressed. You know what? You guys are great. I appreciate you making me look bad over here. Saxon over there has got the first official. Speaking of first ever gear, we talked about the uniform.
Oh, yeah. I have my own.
You've got your own blackout line. That's the Alex Saxon blackout line.
Yep. I'm a big fan of it.
It's
love comfy,
it.
too. And if you've seen me on the field, I always have a hat on. So I'm a huge hat guy. Love it. It's comfy, and I do like my shirt too, by the way.
Yeah, those are the Nikes. We teamed up with Nike for those shirts. So I mean, that's the first time we've done that. If anybody wants gear, go to shopxleague.com, pick up your gear. We've got the new headwear that's going to be going there in about a week or so. We're going to add more team gear as we get closer, and I think drinking games. I want the beer cup.
Oh.
Okay.
Yeah, we're looking at some cool renderings for beer cup for each of the teams because tailgating is going to be a part of each and every game moving forward.
Nice.
So doors open at 6 o'clock. We're going to have tailgating as early as 4 o'clock, whether it's at the stadium or close by bar, but there will be a tailgating element.
Denver Rush cornhole.
There you go. All right, guys. Well, listen, a fun show, our third one. Okay. Hopefully we get sunshine back in September.
It's on the IR.
Yeah, bring the sun back.
And we will be back to talk about all the breaking news stories. This is your destination. You could also go to, oh my God, I'm forgetting our website because nobody goes to websites anymore.
What?
EXTFL.com. EXTFL.com. Please go to our social platforms, our YouTube channel, which we're going to be pumping some more content into. Subscribe there, and that's how you get up to date with the X League. Thanks, guys. Show is done. We will see you in September on Suite Level Access.